Hey, False, that's an example of one of my presentation for a management staff or stakeholders. Seems to be they get interested really in automation, what framework I'm using, how I'm running them against of QA environment and against of even production. I start trying against the production. So this little presentation with several slides. Usually I start from the 4 or 5 slides. First of all, to show that we actually have to use the automation, at least to start for some kind of basic coverage. It's obviously that we need to replace some kind of manual things to get automate some basic stuff. Automation workflow, it's always obvious things. In other slides, usually when I'm showing like the ideal, we have to supposed to have the pyramids, which we have a unit test, a lot of unit tests, API test, and Selenium test. The most of things should be automated, and a little manual test just to give some room for manual tester to do the exploratory things, just to save some time for them. But classic things as ice cream, for sure. We have a plenty of manual tests, a little unit test, little Selenium test. That's usually the starting stage of projects. Uh, and why do we need to follow to this pyramid structure? Because to finding the defects on the early stage could save some money for us. This is investigation that if you find the defects on the later stage, like on the production, it costs like 100 times of more expensive to fix when it's find them on the early stage with automation things, right? In the bottom of these pyramids, obvious things. And before to speak about actual coverage with automation, we have to find what actually the goals and the objectives for this, right? For example, for some companies, this is one of the age scenarios. People just want to have the automation scenarios just to show them, just to pass certification, because we're not going to get some kind of license certification or approval if we don't have an automation. So we have to have something, and we don't care about budget, we don't care about return of investment, just need to show something that they have some kind of automation. In other age, it's like some companies want to automate everything, like 100% automation. That's the goals and objectives of difference, right? We want to suppress these bugs is possible, more is possible in early stage on the developers branch, even before to commit the changes from developer branch to developers environment or QA environment. We want to run them locally, automation things to see if nothing's broken. This is about ROA, about return investment of money, right? So most of we don't care about when how money we're gonna spend. We're gonna spend how many people we have automation team. For example, I have a project for virtual casino, and we want to automate everything. It was some kind of a strategy. So because the workflow sometimes was so complex that even experienced projects managements and functional stuff we wasn't able to reproduce it, and it was pretty easy to lost in this workflow. So that's why even before we put this kind of new functionality in the table in the production, we covering it with automation and with manual testing first. And for my project, actually it was happening for one of the project here in the health ministry for vaccine projects. So we also have several automation guys in this project, and we've tried to automate everything. So it's happened. But for my current project, we somewhere in the middle. So we just want to save some time for manual people to give us some room for exploratory testing. We want to reduce the defects for sure in the early stage. We want to come up with kind of smoke and regression test with basic E2E scenarios. And actually all of this automation activity, especially with API, could be like be a basic for start with performance test. So goal and difference. And the actual coverage. Actual coverage, it's usually we start from the BDD scenarios that was initially started at. We've talked with the project managers, with QA managers, with manual test. I ask him come up with some kind of abstract layer of our functionality instead of to go in scenarios and test cases, go through all of them defects. So it's better to come up with some kind of BDD scenarios. For some company it's a standard. I'm not crazy about these BDD things because to support it in from perspective of automatization, from perspective of business, it's quite a job, you know. And if it's not standard for company, I'm not going to push it, right? Because management's supposed to be really interested in it, and that's what has happened for my previous companies. Before to start even automation, we come up with BDD, we put a baseline that it's okay, it's approval, we have like certain steps which is needs to be automated, etc., etc. It's pretty close to what we have in user stories, right? For acceptance criteria. Like you see, no, it's not fully covered. For example, nothing about transfer story here, but still this was a basic. And use this as a basic where we've come up with actual coverage for automation. For example, for one of a project, automation project, we've created automation scenarios for smoke test for provider and smoke test for patient. It's patient registration. This is real test runs. It's automated, and this bot running every morning, and it's actually showing me what's going on for different environments, for QArgs, user acceptance, for hotfix environment, and even for release environments related to updates, for basic updates or huge updates for Winter 24, for example, Summer 24, in my case for Salesforce. For now, like you see, it's everything green, it's reporting. If you click, like, for example, on our current QA environment, we see some kind of changes here. Self-registration, family registration, or like I just want to show you some of the things what is happening in a QA environment. For example, one of the tests is failed, and you clearly see what it's actually happened. This is for particular users. There is no screenshot here, but at least you'll be able to see this kind of stuff here. For example, it's failed with delay on the environment. So all of this automation after running, I'll be able to see the screenshot on with my Allure report, for example, which is happening here. Yes, it's not accessible for most of the people, but manager staff actually can go to Allure report and see what's actually happening here with the screenshots. But like I said, it's not kind of a critical thing because everything goes to the test trail, and you can see it right here in the test trail that something is failed. It's like 90% is passing, 97% is, something is failed. Okay, this is a basic coverage. We usually come up with smoke tests. I wouldn't name it as a regression. And what it's usually about in terms of bugs that we can see, for example, if I run some kind of test, I'll be able to see that this something disappearing from activity history, or integration is not happening, API integration in my case, some kind of happened with permission stuff, it's error 500, or some sort of delay. For example, I'm trying to start a search for global search in the Salesforce, and I was not able to find this person. So I refresh the page, try again, but it still doesn't show. So after 1 minute, after like several tries, finally it's showing up. It's definitely something happened on the environment. It's not actual bugs, I would say it's performance bugs. Same thing is happening here. See how many I've tried it, and finally the test is failed because after 40 times, 10 times, it's nothing's happening. I was refreshing browser, still nothing's showing up. And actually using these API scenarios, which like you see where is Selenium scenarios, which is running for the browser, and API scenarios. Like here, actually with API scenarios is helping to understand where we are with the actual status of fields, objects, maybe something changed with objects and fields, and I can run it. API test running usually in a second, and I'm right away, like in a second, can be able to say, okay, something's happening, object is happening, and there is no reason to run the actual Selenium workflow or UI workflow because it's definitely going to be failed something. So, and at the same time, API test could be the basis for performance test, which is I'm like trying to show you here. This is a dashboard with a running API test, which is going for the backdoor I can directly to change something with a registrant of the clinics, all stuff, and see some kind of spikes here. So it started from, it used to be took 1 second, but now it started to be 3 seconds, etc. And a different picture for browser, for example. For browser, we see this spikes for 6 seconds. Start through 2 seconds. So different pictures, different performance from different site. For API, when I use a backdoor without loading actually the browser and with the browser. Like I said, we are not really in a performance test because we rely on performance engineering stuff from Salesforce, but still sometimes it's good to see what's actually happened with resources on our SKU environment. We know that we are sharing our SKU environment with someone else in Salesforce orgs. That's why probably with the line sometimes is coming up. But nice to see it. So the same things with performance tests from the browser perspective, like for sales to getting successful register page. See, performance is not very good in queue environment. It's for the baseline of Google what has come up, it's too long. Too many time, 1 and 3 seconds for waiting the largest objects and etc. But like you said, for productions, I believe a different pictures. Same thing for performance test here. So we're not gonna be there. So this is the basic coverage, what I wanna show, slides, and how we represented this for management staff and for manual team to understand where we are including the Jenkins Allure reports. That's it. Thank you guys.